in theaters watching Logan, which would be Wolverine 3, which is ironic because it came out on March 3rd, 3 claws. There you go, fun fact. Gonna say, this movie is not your traditional X-Men type movie. I mean, it does have action and it does have characters, but it's more of, the word I'm gonna use is deep. There's layers to it, it's very deep. Maybe one would say dark. One thing I really loved, and I gotta get it out there off the fly, is you've never seen a superhero movie. What happens when they're old? Like, you've never seen that. So you've got, obviously, Old Man Logan, and obviously Professor Xavier's in there, and like, they're old. So it's like, so what exactly are they doing or not doing? I mean, are they still like fighting the good fight? And that's where the movie kind of like, hey, here's where you guys are doing, and then you've got this whole thing with this little girl. If you already know, it's X-23, I don't think that's giving anything away. So you've got this whole dealing with the old guys, new blood, of course your bad guys, you know, kind of in the mix.
Going into this movie, I was extremely excited. It was going to be an R-rated X-Men movie. You were going to see a different side of a character that has always kind of been glossed over because of the rating. Wolverine is a very dark character. He's been built as a dark character. He's conflicted. He's that way in the comics. He's that way in the movie universe. But because of the rating they utilize, they can only go so far with it. And I was really looking forward to them really digging into his character. They did. They did dig into his character. They did pull all the brutalness out of the bag and throw it in the movie. And I mean, everything you think is going to happen with fighting in this movie is going to happen. You are going to see every single scene in every single X-Men movie that they cut away from. You're going to see it in this one. It's going to show a slice from pretty much every angle of the body, which is cool. I wanted to see that. It delivered that. But the reason it's R-rated is they were going to a really dark place. I appreciate what they made, and I feel that it was made, I have trouble finding enjoyment in it. I walked out of that movie theater extremely depressed, and I'm not going to give away anything that happened, and you're probably not going to guess what's going to happen. It's this dark, foreboding feeling when you get out of there.
I have to give them a lot of credit for trying to make a really serious, dark, bleak film, I would say. Advantages of this film are we have our returning actors, Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart. They've been great in all the X-Men films that they've done. I think that they truly understand these characters. And here they get to bring some gravitas to their acting by portraying them as so much older. It's a whole different world. They're joined by our X-23 character, who also does a great job of pulling off this performance despite having basically no dialogue for, I would say, 75% of the film. But her character draws you in, and it's very entertaining to watch her, regardless of her speaking. In a way, her speaking kind of ruins it for some people, and that's enjoyable to watch as well.
For me, the bad guys weren't really like evil, they were just kind of obnoxious. You know, there were no Apocalypse or Magneto or the Sentinels, you were just there. Like, you were there to be there for bloodshed. Very visceral. It was very nice to finally get to see Wolverine when he goes to cut somebody. I mean, let's be honest, all the movies were PG-13 except this one, rated R. So when he goes to like cut somebody, it was quick off-screen violence, like the guy does a flip and then okay, now they're gone, he goes to the next one. Never any blood on the claws. In reality, you know, when you're cutting somebody, you're gonna see that. So it's very nice to actually see the visceral Wolverine. Kind of sad it took this long to get there, but you know what? I figure it's one of those patience paid off because you got a really good visceral movie, very well written. Because it's not your traditional, oh, action, exposition. I mean, we're old. Like, you know, the world is way different now. It's not what it was before.
Most movies, you watch them, you know, they'll say, look at this, it's depressing, and then they'll say, but everything's really okay. This movie goes, oh, look at this, it's depressing, but it's really okay, but no, F that, it's really depressing. And you walk out just feeling down. I didn't feel hope in this movie. I didn't feel like this was the beginning of something great. I felt that this was the older part of a couple of superheroes' lives that were very realistic.
The villains have their charm. They're not the most standout villains, not the greatest, but they're not as bad as Apocalypse, so I have to give them a little bit of credit for that. It sort of falls into this more grounded, gritty, realistic style. It's not so out there, cosmic space adventures and superpowers, that type of thing. It's really well filmed. I like how well it connects actually to the original X-Men series, especially the original X-Men film. There are some nice callbacks so that you know that this is connected to that universe. It's not standing apart as some kind of an alternate reality. You can feel a little bit more invested. It's set in the future, and boy, is that future bleak. It's so bleak, in fact, that we continually have to watch people getting sliced and diced just over and over in this film. If you've ever heard that expression, if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Well, if all you have are 3 claws and the other character has 2 claws, or 6, or however many claws everybody has, pretty much everyone's gonna get clawed to death. And that's, I wanna say like 50% of this movie is pretty much just watching people getting clawed. So, you know, they have to get a little creative, like, let's claw from this side, let's claw from that side, let's claw from the top, let's claw from the bottom. Let's chop their heads off. Let's chop their arms off. Personally, it got old with how many decapitations, how much blood, how much gore. Even when you meet some nice folks, you're like, oh, these folks are so nice. They're not gonna get clawed. Oh, everybody gets clawed. Everybody dies. It's so not uplifting. Super bleak. Super depressing.
There are a couple little twists here and there, not like oh my god, but it's kind of like, oh, that's an interesting route. There are some callbacks to some previous X-Men things. Some is very blatant, others is kind of like, there it is, if you happen to pick it up, then you pick it up. There is no end credit scene. Gonna save you some time. I looked online and one source said yes, one said no. We stayed, there's nothing there. Just music and words, and this movie made 1,500 bajillion hours and jobs, and thanks for watching.
I look for movies to be entertaining. I rarely watch a movie to be upset or scared. This is why I tend to avoid horror movies, but I tend to gravitate towards musicals. I want to feel good. I want to escape the world. I felt that what happened in this movie was actually worse than what's happening in my real world, and that's really rare for me. I was left feeling really bad. So I'm conflicted. As a movie fan, as someone that appreciates art and the ideas that are being built, and somebody coming up with a story and really wanting to show it, I appreciate what they accomplished. I appreciate the acting, the way the story was written, the way you're drawn towards a character that doesn't even say anything. Even Wolverine himself, he's very selective on what he says, and most of it's just grunts and yells, but you really feel what he's feeling. You really feel what Xavier's feeling. The entire movie, I just wanted to help. I wanted to jump on the screen and help. I think going into this movie, you need to be aware that this is not a normal superhero movie. This is not the movie you're going to walk out of going, that was awesome, yes, right hook, left hook. This is not that movie. This is the movie you're going to walk out, you're probably going to be quiet, you're probably going to be thinking, and it's probably going to stay with you for a couple days. While I do agree that that's a well-made movie, it's not the entertainment I was looking for.
I think it's a well-made film. I give them a lot of credit for going there, but that doesn't mean it was particularly enjoyable to watch. It's a little too dark, a little too depressing, a little too gory for me. But Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart, they bring their A game to this. So despite some stellar performances, I have to give it a 7 out of 10.
As a score, I'm going to give it that a 10, because I try to judge movies based off of their point, what they're trying to convey, and the target audience. This movie absolutely did an amazing job with what it set out to do. It told a deep story, a dark story. It kind of showed the opposite side, the R-rated side of superheroes, and I have to appreciate that, even though I didn't necessarily fully enjoy it.
So for me, I'm going to have to give this movie a 9 out of 10. I really liked it. I know it's not like, oh my god, an amazing movie, because it's more of like a deeper kind of tone, a more serious kind of tone. So it's nice to see that. And it's nice to see what happens when heroes get old. They're not like the same, I'm going to toss you into a building, you're going to come running out with the rage factor going on, or pull some cool phantasmo power. So it was really nice to see. It was kind of like you dialed back on the heroes, but you really pushed a really compelling emotional story forward. I thank Fox for that. They finally kind of did something right. So go on ahead and favorite this video, like it, subscribe to this channel for more reviews like this, plus throwbacks, unboxing videos, etc. Question for you this week: what's your favorite X-Men movie? There's 9 of them. For me, I enjoyed X-Men 2, X2, X-Men United. That to me, primo. Pop that bad boy in, watch it all the time, every time. And remember, you heard it here at The Source.